Tak stalo se to, co tady místní říkali, že se nikdy nestane.
It happened what the locals said it never would. The water system on our nursery is depending on dried out and we need to solve it. Of course, first is a crisis plan. A tank with 30 cubic meters is on its way from Sharingol at the moment. The second long-term plan in Mongolia is to drill a hole.
Dlouhodobým řešením v Mongolsku obecně je vrt.
We don't find beautiful Mongolian forests everywhere. In many places they are damaged by wildfires, pests, overgrazing, illegal, but often also legal logging. Even legal logging without obvious clear cuts, which is not followed by supported natural regeneration or artificial reforestation, including proper care for young trees, is insufficient. After a forest perishes, a soil cover quickly vanishes, subsequented by erosion. Water also disappears from the landscape. The result is an endless horizon of bare rocks. In places, forests here are reminiscent of the time of Maria Theresa, with the dismal state of the forests in Central Europe led the monarch to adopt serious actions for their protection. Forest preservation has a particularly significant importance, especially at the buffer zone between the Gobi Desert and the forest complexes of the southern outposts of the Siberian taiga. The existence of forests, and also their quality, is important not only for the future financial returns of wood raw material, but also for their future itself. Indigenous ecotypes of forest trees are better adapted to local conditions, but also to gradual climatic changes rather than species from completely different locations. These two trees are great. The left one is especially full of cones. Our project developed gradually. The main object was the genetics of forest trees. We connected it with the regional plans of forest development because it, of course, is very closely related. The second main targets were the two nurseries. Another point is educational, because we built on the cooperation between the Czech Forestry Academy Trutnov and Darchan Ul University. They told us that a big problem in Mongolia is to persuade society and cities that they can take from the forest and that it should be nice to look at, but we also need to give it something in return, so it means public relations. We begin our 3-year project in the spring of 2015 with this basic target. We started to proceed at the Mongolian Parliament, continued at the Ministry of Environment, Forest Research and Development Centre and GIZ, which is our partner from Germany. It was also necessary to find local conditions expert and a translator. We found him in Altanhoyag Sosorbaram. He supported us for the whole period of the project. The base and the main part of the project was realised at the already earlier identified company Domogd Sharangol. The project was later prolonged to the year 2018. Every tree which grows in Mongolia for more than 50 years is verifiable, definitely autochthonous. Up to now, the genetic quality of cones and seeds was unsubstantial. Collections were gathered mainly from easily accessible trees. Tall, slim trees within a closed canopy, and therefore with branches in the top part of their trunks, that is what foresters, and later especially loggers, want.
Okay, I think that there is some kind of defect on the trunk.
It is not only about identifying which trees are suitable for the cone collection, but equally important is also to teach the local foresters how to reach the cones in the very top of trees, which are located within the canopy-closed forest stands, therefore without low branches. Our course of harmless tree climbing techniques took place at the end of September 2015 in Tunchel at the German GIZ base. At the end of the course, employees from the Forest Research and Development Centre collected more than 300 kilograms of Siberian spruce cones. Thanks to the realisation of our project, the view on the selection of trees for cone and seed collecting in Mongolia will change. We especially needed to collect cones from high-quality individuals of Siberian larch in order to establish a seed orchard. The orchard area placed in the immediate surroundings of the nursery needed to be ploughed, compacted and fenced. Spacing of each and every clone has specific rules. These rules were taken into consideration in our project, based on which the planting and marking was realised in 2018. In 10 to 15 years, this orchard should provide high-quality seeds to local foresters. The cones are husked in the sun, like, for example, larch or spruce, which was collected during our course, or they are husked in a husking machine also brought within our project, like, for example, pine. Using the germinating table, which was also transported from the Czech Republic, it is necessary to determine the percentage of the seed's germinability. These are the seed beds at the old nursery of the Domokt company. Here, plants of the so-called bare root type were produced, which means they are quite sensitive to further manipulation. Within the Czech-Mongolian Development Cooperation and Project, a new nursery was built 300 meters from here. When Tonda and I were leaving at the end of July last year, it was hard to imagine that we would come back halfway through August and there would be a house already built here, as promised by Arvin and Oitoja. The first years were not only about the nursery development, but also the construction of a solar power plant, accommodation facilities, workshop, wood storage, shower, etc.
Nyní se nacházíme v lesní školce družstva Domokt Sharingol. Před rokem...
Now we are at the nursery of the Domokt Sharingol company. A year ago, this area was only a green meadow covered with fireweed. We had to mow and dry the grass and afterwards make measurements for plastic greenhouses and shaded area. That was the end of 2015. In early spring 2016, we continued with covering the greenhouses with plastic sheets, building irrigation, and the ground was covered with weed-proof textile.
Vybudovala se závlaha, odmrlivovaná zem se pokryla krycí textilií proti prorůstání plevelů.
The nursery is built from 6 plastic greenhouses. Every greenhouse contains 18,000 plants in permeable containers called patrik. 4 basic local species of trees are grown here: Scotch pine, spruce, Siberian larch and Siberian pine. The future production of the nursery is planned to be 100,000 plants per season.
Na 100 000 sazenic během vegetační sezóny.
But before planting could begin in 2016, one basic thing had to be in order: the irrigation. We sourced water from a well by the stream, from where it is transported into a pool for temperature balancing.
Školka je jedním ze styčných bodů toho projektu.
The nursery is one of the main points of this project, and it is situated in completely natural forests, which are full of pests, and it depends only on this small stream.
Malé říčce na tom malém potoce. Loni tady bylo taky hodně bekyní, těch velkohlavých, to je tohleto.
Last year, a lot of these gypsy moths appeared here, but there were no plastic sheets here, no shadings for them to lay their eggs on. They're looking for these kind of nooks where the eggs can survive the winter. But this year, you can see that the moths are searching for these shadings, and you will see how many larvae will hatch right next to or directly in these greenhouses.
Uvidíme, kolik nás čeká na jaře vlastně housenek vylíhnutých bezprostředně těsně vedle těch foliáků nebo přímo v nich.
Řešení problému s bekyní velkohlavou.
We tackled the gypsy moth issue with a 2-step solution. First, the moth larvae were manually picked from the plants by our students. In the second step, we cured our plants with insecticide. In a week, the problem was solved and no damage done.
A během týdne byl tento problém vyřešen, takže ke škodám nedošlo.
The most important part of the irrigational system are nozzles in the greenhouses. High-quality nozzles allow us to gently irrigate the whole area of our greenhouse. To obtain substrate from local materials was another important point of our project. Its base is compost from sawdust, soil and animal excrements. Projects which use imported substrates usually fail after their completion. Mongolian is anything but an easy language. Communication is sometimes a bit difficult here. Misha's advantage is that his parents live in Russia, so he speaks Russian perfectly. We have basic Russian from our school years, so we communicate in Russian with Misha. However, Amra is young, so Russian is not possible. He prefers English.
Kde ruština už nepřipadá v úvahu, preferuje se angličtina.
Откроем, посмотрим, что там случилось. Если всегда здесь вода.
Да. We need to open more, one more, and I think we need a little bit. Když řešíme něco my tři, tak se baví Misha s Amrou.
When us three are discussing something, Misha and Amra are speaking Mongolian to each other, and then one of them translates it into a language I understand, to English or Russian.
Amra studuje třetím rokem lesní inženýrství na univerzitě.
Amra is a sophomore in forestry engineering studies at Darkhan University, and he is planned as the future head of the nursery. Because of that, I am trying to hand over to him all the experience I have, and I try to show him all the mysteries of forest nurseries.
Do všech tajů a zákoutí lesního školkařství.
The most important part of the project is to pass our experience to our Mongolian colleagues in a way that they understand the system of operating a nursery, growing, planting and protecting plants, so when we are finished here, they can successfully continue.
Úbytek vody byl naprosto nečekaný.
Water decrease was absolutely unexpected. During the whole spring and a half of summer there was enough water, even much more than we needed. Water was flowing through, but last Sunday we had, say, 60 litres per second, and in next 2 days the well was dry. In a year with relatively high humidity, Ulaanbaatar experienced flooding 2 weeks ago, and we in the middle of forests are suddenly without water. Something had to happen with the water source.
Uprostřed lesů jsme najednou bez vody. Něco se muselo prostě s tím pramenem stát.
Providing a water supply is a liability of the Mongolian side. It is summer 2016 and we start to act. We don't want to use a gasoline pump. Thanks to a small local project of our embassy, we can extend the current solar power plant. Plants which are replanted in spring are now in greenhouses. They will stay there for the next 2 weeks. It is the beginning of August, we need to finish shadings. That means to level the terrain, cover the area with sand, and in here the plants will be lignifying. It is also important to know where to place each plant species, which soil or site quality and locality are suitable for the respective forest species. That is why we include in our project something similar to our regional plans of forest development. If the soil contains carbonates, it bubbles, slightly or wildly. This one does not bubble at all. Each forest site is characterized by the appearance of its plants indicators, significant grasses, herbs or bushes depending on site quality. That is the basis of phytosociology and forest classification. A soil physical and chemical analyses were performed by our partner, the Agricultural University in Darkhan. A transportation and forest protection survey are also a part of our studies. This is not a goal of forestry activities, but rather a means for easing the everyday work practice of thousands of foresters.
Je to KO01. Limitujícím faktorem pro ochranu kultur a přirozeného zmlazení.
Cattle grazing and wild game browsing is a limiting factor of protection of planted cultures and natural regeneration here. We created a small enclosure where we try to demonstrate the differences between protected and unprotected lots to our Mongolian colleagues. An important outcome of long-term forest development plan A zonation of the whole study area will be a very important part of our work. For each created zone, a specific management including logging, planting or natural regeneration care and tending will be suggested.
Způsoby obnovy lesa, následné péče o kultury a přirozenou obnovu.
In case of a long-term forestry planning in a time of uncertain climatic change, it is necessary to determine a composition of ancient forests. This is achieved by the analyses of charcoal pieces, which remained in a soil body after historical wildfires. Pedoanthropology is a discipline focusing on identifying and dating charcoal pieces. These are separated from a soil by hard work and repetitive washing similar to gold panning. Small pieces of charcoal are then examined in specialized laboratories, which determine the time of wildfire and a tree species which burned a long time ago, maybe thousands of years. This project would not start without people's enthusiasm on the Mongolian as well as Czech side. Besides our main project, other smaller projects were realised by our embassy, for example the solar power plant already mentioned and 2 more. The Mongolian Association of Foresters and Loggers visited the Silva Regina Fair in 2016, and in autumn 100 of its members, alongside with the Deputy Minister of Environment, Mr. Batbayer, visited our project base. In 2017, the Czech company Bistron supported the import of forest machinery into Mongolia. The transport was supported by FAO, and the association took care of demonstrations in different locations in Mongolia afterwards. The second forest nursery was established at the university in Darchan, which has been cooperating with the Czech Forestry Academy Trutnov. The University of Darchan uses the Domokt forests as a school training and research forest. The university serves also as a wider platform for a transfer of knowledge, not addressed only to Domokt and the Research and Development Centre, but also to a wider professional public.
Yes.
The Patrick technology was also installed into the current nursery of the Research and Development Centre in Ulaanbaatar. Their seed laboratory was also equipped, an arrangement of rooms was designed in a new building, and ESTA rules, which are used in the EU, were established. "20 hectares of non-forest land was planted within the project base area, from ordinary forest localities of various expositions to long-term deforested pastured. 3 hectares of the area were fenced. When the Kongor and Sharingol governors visited the base camp, their first question was, "Can you do something directly for us, for our people who take care of our forests? We have 30, on paper 60 companies like Domokt Sharingol in operation, and they would also like to know how to take care of the forest, etc." So that is how the training centre which is being built came to light. Based on requests from both governors, we established demonstration objects where we try to show how we deal with bark beetle infestations, support of natural regeneration, tending and logging using thinwood, which is typically left in a forest stand. These are examples of mid-European sustainable forest management and are applicable here in Mongolia. In the spring of 2017, on the occasion of the visit from the Ministry of Agriculture and Forest Management Institute of the Czech Republic, the drill hole was officially handed over to the Mongolian side and the extended solar power plant by the Czechs. Thanks to them, the nursery has enough water and it is powered by energy from the sun. I was planning to combine these birch pine stands on these shallow soils. In the Czech Republic, 10-year forest management plans are elaborated for every forest property over 50 hectares in size. They contain detailed analysis of the real state of the particular forest and determine a total allowable cut. To elaborate a forest management plan on a model property of 3,600 hectares at the Domok Sharingol company was our main task for 2018. We used a statistic forest inventory because of planned no-age class silviculture with uneven spatial structure and mixed species composition.
Takže 51, 50, 48,
The Ministry of Environment and Tourism agreed that within the project the company Domok Sharingol will proceed according to our plan. It is not only a way of planning production of the new nursery, but also the only possible to finance the established model centre of sustainable management based on forest yield.
This kiln we burnt not last night, the night before.
Because the forest property is rich in birch, Betula platyphila, which can be only exceptionally used for sawmill processing, in cooperation with GIZ, we trained local employees in charcoal burning. Their instructor was Jim Bettle from Great Britain. In Mongolia, the core is to preserve the forests in their current extent and increase their utility value by using proper management. It is always cheaper than to try to establish forests in areas where they, due to a change of conditions, disappeared thousands of years ago. The 3 years we are working here is too short a time to discover all the existing issues. The importance of forests, not only for biodiversity, but also for the society and its existence, was a main topic of meetings with the public. A natural trail was built for our visitors around our base and at the Darkhan University.
Území, kde chceme vlastně, aby nám zase vyrostl nový les.
In 2017 and 2018, 2 workshops for employees of the Forest Research and Development Centre from different parts of Mongolia were held, and in September 2018, our project base became, under the patronage of FAO, a place where foresters from Transcaucasian republics and Middle Asia met up.
I have seen here over the last few days is really impressive. This is a project which doesn't bring only look at a specific aspect in the whole chain of forestry activities like plant protection, but this project starts really from the beginning, from how to prepare the site in the forest.
I am glad that representatives of FAO, as the most significant international forestry organization, and delegations from surrounding countries came to visit, because the local project has big potential to be repeated elsewhere in Mongolia or in one of the other countries. It certainly has a potential to be realized in a bigger area, perhaps the whole valley or catchment basin. Workshop participants and visitors who come to visit our base were introduced to the nursery operation and a philosophy of approach to stand tending operations. By fire in the evening, alternatives to individual solutions and application of the European experience in Mongolian conditions were discussed. For example, small forest enterprises in Europe have permanent teams and their operations are extended throughout a whole year. Not necessarily only wood, but also other natural products which the property offers, such as honey, forest berry jams, birch water, hunting, etc., can be financial sources. Nowadays, when a lot of people live in cities, it is also agro-tourism, when people, and especially children, discover country life and also can do something beneficial, perhaps plant a few trees. Project Internet pages provide written project outcomes as well as PowerPoint presentations, photographs and videos. All in Mongolian, videos also in Czech and English. Thanks to our cooperation with the Forest Academy in Trutnov and Czech universities, the know-how exchange should continue even after the current project is over. Thanks to the project, our nursery has everything. Electricity from the solar panels is used for the irrigation system, which saves time and money. The work sped up. Thanks go to all the partners of our project, especially to the family of Mr. Arvin and Mrs. Oyuntuya, and their employees for active cooperation. In the upcoming years, they will share their experience of running a small forestry establishment the way we know from Europe. It will certainly take a lot of time and effort.